There are 7 levels of Fortnite boss mythics, and it all starts at level 1, the trash level. This is rock bottom. You are not looking to fight these bosses and get these weapon drops because it's just not worth your time. Literally, you'd be better off grabbing a fishing pole and fishing for weapons. That's how trash these are. When you think of a boss reward, you expect power. You expect that moment where the game says, you earned this. But these ones basically just thank you for wasting your time. They either do no damage, have insane bloom, or are so gimmicky that they barely count as weapons. These are mythics you wouldn't wish on your worst enemies. Like the Deadpool hand cannons. Absolute trash. The damage was extremely low, the fire rate was slow, they had insane bloom, and they did heal you, but only for 3 health per bullet, which is nothing. It was not saving you from any actual danger. You were better off just picking up any SMG over using these, and I'm not joking. On top of that, you had to land at the yacht and fight Deadpool on the corner of the map, so the storm was going to be your worst enemy anyways. And don't get me started on the Spire Assassin's Recycler. I mentioned this recently, but they took one of the most broken mythic shotguns and replaced it with actual trash, a recycler. They're the kind of mythics that make you wonder if Epic was trolling the community. You try these once, but you never go for them again. And now we move on to level 2, bad mythics. We've climbed out of trash, but not by much. Level 2 boss mythics weren't the worst, but you weren't happy to see them either. They had potential, but the results just never backed it up. Some of them could actually do decent damage, but the trade-offs were brutal. These weapons often suffered from poor consistency, or they were just in the loot pool during the wrong season. Like the sweeper shotgun from defeating the queen this season. Don't get me wrong, the shotgun is bad, but it's even worse when you compare it to other options that are in the loot pool. The wrecked revolver is just all around a better shotgun option. Even my community voted a gray wrecked revolver is better than this shotgun. Some of these mythics looked good on paper, but never had the I need this feeling in game. You could win fights with them technically, but you'd have to work for it. Like Zeus's DMR and even his Thunderbolt of Zeus. You would expect these just to be so powerful, but the Thunderbolt mixed with the Reaper snipers in this season just made you a floating target. And DMRs are rarely ever going to be good enough to not be considered a level 2 weapon, even when it drops from a boss. And now we have level 3, mid-boss weapons. These are purely average. Not good, not bad, they just exist. You'll see them when you don't have any better options, like maybe another player drops it and it's technically better than what you have. But the second you find something better, you're dropping it with no hesitation. They're the Fortnite equivalent of elevator music. You don't hate them, you just kind of forget they exist until someone reminds you. You have mythics like the High Cards Havoc Suppressed Rifle, which I'm not even sure most players remember this weapon. It had decent stats and a solid fire rate, but the bloom was pretty noticeable. It didn't really give the gun a chance to be anything higher than level 3, especially with the other assault rifles during that season. And I hate to say it, but Doja Cat's Thorn Ripper has to be here as well. It was hilarious that her mythic is based off of the Chain of Hades, which you know she had a Twitter rant about, but it just doesn't feel as strong as you would hope a mythic would. They do hit a little harder, but something just feels off about them compared to the usual Chains of Hades. It's in the game right now, but I feel like in a few years, the Thorn Ripper is just going to be a very forgettable mythic. And if you don't believe me, you can just go try it for yourself. And now we move on to level 4. This is the OK boss mythics. Now we're getting somewhere, and these start to get a little bit impressive. They do their job, they win fights, but they don't wow you. Some of these are nerfed versions of better boss mythics or simply didn't age well as Fortnite evolved. Ocean's Bottomless Chug Jug felt really good back in the day, but with how healing works now, it would just feel bad to use. We actually saw it unvaulted recently in the Star Wars season, and yeah, you just weren't going to pick this up over the other heals that we had to work with. Sitting there having to cast an entire Jug Jug in order to heal just is not worth your time. And we all know Epic has played it pretty safe and time again have brought back a drum gun. So I'd have to place the Jules drum gun and the Shadow Midas drum gun in level 4 because they do not live up to the original Midas drum gun, which was one of the strongest mythic items we've ever seen. You pick them up, get a few kills, and move on. They're solid, but they're not iconic. And there's other weapons you're better off using. And now we're at the level 5 boss mythics. These are good mythics. Now is when Fortnite starts to cook. Level 5 weapons are well designed, balanced, and satisfying. They don't break the meta, but they feel right to use. These are the kind of weapons that reward aim, timing, positioning without flashy gimmicks. They're consistent, and that's what makes them good. The player can win with these weapons, and even casual players feel powerful when using them. This is where Epic's balance team really shines. I can't lie, when I first saw the Baron's double down pistol, I thought this thing was going to be absolutely broken. And in the right hands, yeah, they were pretty deadly, but it never stood out as game defining like some of the weapons we're going to see in level 6 and 7. It was a mythic version of the Mammoth pistol, and the big difference was that you got 2 shots instead of 1. But it only did a little bit more damage than the legendary Mammoth, 102 compared to 99. So I feel like it was balanced really well. But speaking of new versions of drum guns, I do have to say that the Snoop Dogg drum gun was the best one we've ever seen added since the original. It's like Epic tried to take the stats from the Midas drum gun and bring it back in Chapter 2 Remix, which was great to see. And the only difference was the headshot multiplier, so it still wasn't as strong as the original Midas, but it came pretty close. And now we move to the level 6 weapons. These are great boss mythics. This is where they start to feel special. They're the ones that define metas and change how people play. They're not just strong, they're influential. They introduce new playstyles and make players rethink their entire loadout and drop spot. They're powerful without being unfair, which makes them memorable for the right reasons. Even after some of these weapons got nerfed, people still chose them. Looking at Oscar's Frenzy shotgun, on launch this gun was disgusting. 78 body shot damage, 136 headshot. The fire rate ended up getting nerfed 2 seasons from 2.5 to 2.2. And we saw Click and Epic Whale still drop at Lavish Lair for FNCS because of how good this gun was. And it was still extremely strong even after the nerfs. Then you had combo mythics like Kit's Charge Shotgun and the Shockwave Launcher. And hear me out, because this could have been level 7, but it did require some skill to use a charged shotgun. The community was not really a fan of it for a while, and the shotgun itself did 104 uncharged body shot and did a max of 229 damage to the head when fully charged. And using the Shockwave Launcher, you could break into people's boxes easily, and it just created a perfect synergy for the charged shotgun. But what makes a level 7 boss mythic? What makes it legendary? Because these are the greatest boss mythics of all time. These are weapons that defined entire eras of Fortnite, the ones that every single player remembers even years later. They weren't just strong, they were moment makers. Some of them were so strong, you'd have entire lobbies fighting to get them. They shaped metas, broke records, and created Fortnite history. Every skilled player wanted to use the mythic Cerberus shotgun. Every shot with this gun was hitting for almost 100 damage, and the only downside was that it had 3 shots, but with the quick reload time, it makes up for it. It had 164 DPS, and people like Peterbot and Poyo made this shotgun popular by dropping at Grim Gate every single game and using it to win Cash Cup after Cash Cup, including the FNCS. When you think of Fortnite boss mythics, these always come to everyone's mind. They were either so overpowered that it was extremely fun, or perfectly balanced that they became timeless. I'll never forget seeing Nick A30 take 100 players and killing them with 1 shot of the Iron Man Unibeam. They're iconic, they're powerful, they represent Fortnite at its absolute peak. You can nerf them, vault them, bring them back years later, and people will still freak out. Let me know what you think of this list, and let me know what category I should list next, 1 through 7. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.